In simpler times, there were a couple of things you would expect from an action RPG to have a good time. A pinch of hack and slash, a dash of exploration, and a smidgen of exploding yellow rabbits. A lot of games have tried to emulate this formula for success, but few have done it better than Secret of Mana. Over a decade, a Japanese sequel, and a couple of console generations later, the World of Mana series is ready to pick up once again with Dawn of Mana, the first true sequel in the series since the Super Nintendo games oh so long ago. Featuring an updated look, it makes an adventurous leap into 3D with an ostensibly more action-oriented style of play. It's a fresh start for the series, but noticeable flaws keep it from reaching the dawn of a new age. Players follow the footsteps of Keldric, a spirited youth who grew up among the wood people of Illusia, home of the Great Tree. As with almost all young protagonists in RPGs, Keldric lives a blissful, carefree life with his childhood friends, until a certain evil threatens to disturb their idle paradise. Stroud, the game's antagonist, targets Illusia and the hidden gateway to the dark realm Mavolia, thinking it to hold a great power. Wishing to save his beloved homeland, Keldric sets off on a perilous quest to awaken the Guardian Beast. But the world has a lot more in store for the destined lad.
What do you think it is?
The plot may not have the same depth of political intrigue or adventure as something like Final Fantasy XII, but it does a good job of delivering a fanciful story chock full of whimsical characters and fantastic beings. Rich production values further bolster the game, from gorgeous in-game cinematics reminiscent of the Kingdom Hearts franchise, to the lush soundtrack filling every moment of the game. It's a children's storybook brought to life. If only the game itself could pull off a storybook ending.
Watch that mouth!
Dawn of Mana is divided into 8 chapters. The game forgoes classic staples of the Mana series like levels, towns, and ring menus for a more streamlined approach. Keldric doesn't level up in the traditional sense. Instead, he has 2 primary attributes that increase in each chapter: physical and magical. Collecting corresponding colored medals dropped from defeated enemies level up these attributes. Physical level-ups increase Keldric's maximum life and his sword skill, while any increases in magical ability add an array of offensive and defensive spells. The idea makes sense for an action-oriented game, but at the end of the chapter, these levels reset, taking you back to square one. Keldric never gets progressively stronger as you advance through the story. Instead, you have to slink through each chapter before reaching the next. Not having access to healing spells from the outset of a chapter can be problematic, and the system zaps the sense of accomplishment from the game as a whole. There are also no towns or equipment, and it removes a lot of downtime from the game, sending you into the fray almost instantly at the start of each chapter. The game does provide interesting solutions to these absences in the form of drops. Fans who have grown up with the series will definitely feel nostalgic for the way it used to be played. Dawn of Mana takes away too much of what the series is built upon, forcing players to become acquainted with a brand new system that isn't particularly good.
Only darkness waits beyond this point.
Unlike prior Mana titles, Dawn of Mana only gives players control and access to one character throughout the entire game. In return, the game adds a little bit more dimension to controlling Keldric rather than hacking, slashing, and the occasional spellcast. Early on in the game, Keldric's arm fuses with a symbiotic plant lifeform that allows him to carry out 3 different functions: sword fighting, vine whipping, and pellet shooting. Keldric will find himself using the sword for most of the game, but there will be times when usage of the vine and pellet shooter will be necessary.
Are you okay?
Keldric's pellet shooter allows him to strike foes afar with elementally fused ammunition, while the vine allows for close-quarters object and environment interaction using the game's integration of the Havoc physics engine. What it all boils down to, though, is tossing enemies into things and vice versa. It's a neat addition, and the game practically encourages it. Dazing enemies by knocking them around causes them to spew out more medals. And some adversaries can only be defeated by the tricky tossing of objects. However, a dodgy targeting system, awkward controls, and a lousy camera add frustration to the vine and physics system. And the fact that you have to rely upon it makes it a bitter pill to swallow. Navigating around stages is no easy feat either, thanks to a nondescript HUD map that divulges too little information. All things considered, the burden of awkward controls and an equally cumbersome game system make you feel less like a hero and more like a clumsy goof.
Don't die!
Dawn of Mana is a tale full of marvelous art and storytelling that captures the look and essence of the older Mana games. But beneath the veneer is a different beast that has excised most of the gameplay elements that make the old game so memorable. It's certainly a playable action-adventure game.
I've been waiting.
But for those anxiously awaiting the return of the Mana series, this is one fairy tale that doesn't have a happy ending.
Okay. We get the point.